Shelly, I love this question by Karen. Says, my question is, what are red flags that signal a bad children's book or mistakes to avoid?
I think clip art. I don't like clip art. I think I definitely would avoid clip art unless you have a specific reason for using it. And I don't want to say some books would not benefit from it. It's probably a good match occasionally, but not very often. I would say that layout. I would say font. If you have a funky looking font, if you type the type style on your pages, right away, somebody's going to look at it and go, they may not know it's self-published, but they're going to look at it and go, something's wrong with this book. You know, if the words are laid out on top of the illustration so that you can't read them, that's a red flag right there. You know something's wrong. If the words are laid out so that you just have really long sentences, you know, continuously, so it's not, there's no style to your layout, I think that's a huge red flag. I think that if you're, sometimes, I hesitate to say this, but I'm still going to say it. People who write picture books, a lot of times they think it has to rhyme. And sometimes in my mind, that's a red flag. Sometimes I think it's beautiful and I think it suits the purposes so well. So that's why I hesitate to say it. But sometimes because people think a children's picture book has to rhyme, they are working really, really hard to make that book rhyme. And so it's sometimes really contrived. It's not the way a 4-year-old likes to talk. It's not the way that a 3-year-old likes to hear a book. Because remember that when you are writing a picture book and you are reading to a young audience, it's not like an adult. You are usually reading that book over and over and over. So kids are gonna not like it if it doesn't sound right to them. So that's one of the things I watch out for. Sometimes I just go, why did you make this in rhyme? You know, you have a really wonderful story. You have really wonderful characters. You have great connection. Can we work on how you really want to tell your story? And that's the kind of feedback I like to give to people. And sometimes they like to take it and sometimes they don't. And that's totally fine. They don't have to take my feedback if they don't want to. I just want people to think about it. So I see that as a red flag.
I love the one that April mentions about, and I know you see this as well, you know, they verbiage that is maybe too advanced for the age. Maybe they think they're writing for this age, but you actually like, this is actually this age.
And that does happen. And I think that sometimes, and this is something else, and maybe it's just a personal pet peeve, but my belief is, this comes second after educating people in literacy, but my belief is that the most important thing about a book is that you form an emotional connection with your reader. And so sometimes people will come to me and they say, well, they want to write a book because they have a message. They want to teach this 3-year-old something or this 4-year-old something. And I think that's fine. But don't forget that really the most important thing to that little 3 or 4-year-old is whether or not they like the book. Do they interact with that book? Does something speak to them? So sometimes people say, but kids learn vocabulary by having books read to them. And that's how they learn if I put in more advanced words. Yeah, that's true. Kids who read generally have higher vocabularies. We all know that. But if you're so busy putting in hard words above their age, you know, what they can really take in, that they don't understand the book or it's not fun for them, you've lost everything. The kid has lost that experience. So I really feel like it's important to, number one, pay attention to what you're trying to do with your reader. And I think that you're not going to get anywhere with teaching a reader a lesson, if that's your goal, if your reader doesn't stay engaged. So in my mind, the number one thing when you are first writing your story is this engaging to my reader? Not, is my reader going to learn from this? That's important. That comes down from it. That can certainly be a piece of it. But I think that it's whether or not your kid interacts, has an experience. We all like books better when we laugh. We all like books better when we cry. You know, when it speaks somehow to us, we like it better. And that's true of even young readers.